Russia just sent a shocking warning to Israel following Israel's latest attacks on Rafah, marking a significant escalation in the already tense relations between the two nations. This stern message comes in the wake of a series of aggressive Israeli military actions targeting Rafah, a city located in the southern Gaza Strip, which has been a focal point of Israeli-Palestinian conflicts for years. The Russian government's unexpected and forceful stance has introduced a new dimension to the Middle Eastern geopolitical landscape, raising concerns among global leaders and observers about the potential for a broader international conflict. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. The recent Israeli airstrikes on Rafah were part of a larger military operation purportedly aimed at dismantling militant infrastructures within the Gaza Strip. Israeli authorities have defended these actions as necessary for national security, claiming that the targets included weapon depots and tunnels used by militant groups such as Hamas. However, the intensity and frequency of the strikes have resulted in significant civilian casualties and widespread destruction, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis in the region. The collateral damage has drawn sharp criticism from various international human rights organizations and has provoked a vehement response from the Palestinian authorities. Russia's reaction to the attacks on Rafah has been uncharacteristically severe, reflecting its growing frustration with Israel's military tactics in the region. The Kremlin issued a formal statement condemning the Israeli airstrikes, calling them unprovoked acts of aggression and warning of serious consequences if such actions continue. This warning is particularly alarming given Russia's strategic interests and military presence in the broader Middle East, including its alliances with Iran and Syria, both of which are staunch opponents of Israel. The Russian government has also called for an immediate cessation of hostilities and urged the United Nations to convene an emergency session to address the escalating violence. The Israeli government, on the other hand, has reacted defiantly to Russia's warning. Israeli officials have reiterated their commitment to safeguarding national security and have dismissed Russia's condemnation as hypocritical, pointing to Russia's own military interventions in Ukraine and Syria. This war of words between Moscow and Jerusalem has further strained diplomatic relations and has the potential to disrupt existing alliances and partnerships. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has maintained a firm stance, asserting that Israel will continue to take whatever actions are necessary to protect its citizens from terrorist threats, regardless of international backlash. The broader international community has been largely divided in its response to the escalating conflict. The United States, a longtime ally of Israel, has expressed support for Israel's right to defend itself, but has also urged restraint to avoid further civilian casualties. The European Union has called for a de-escalation of violence and a renewed focus on peace talks, emphasizing the need for both sides to return to the negotiating table. Meanwhile, several Middle Eastern countries, including Egypt and Jordan, have condemned the Israeli airstrikes and have called for international intervention to protect Palestinian civilians. The situation in Rafah and the broader Gaza Strip remains dire, with humanitarian organizations struggling to provide aid amidst the ongoing violence. The recent airstrikes have compounded existing challenges, including shortages of food, medical supplies, and clean water. The destruction of infrastructure has further hampered relief efforts, leaving many residents in a state of desperation. International aid agencies have appealed for immediate ceasefire agreements to allow for the safe delivery of humanitarian assistance and to prevent further loss of life. In this volatile context, Russia's shocking warning to Israel has added a new layer of complexity to the crisis. Analysts suggest that Russia's involvement is motivated by a combination of geopolitical strategy and a desire to assert its influence in the Middle East. By positioning itself as a defender of Palestinian rights, Russia aims to strengthen its alliances with key regional players and to challenge U.S. dominance in the region. This move could have significant implications for the balance of power in the Middle East, potentially leading to a realignment of alliances and an increase in regional tensions. The reaction from other global powers and influential figures has been mixed, reflecting the complexity of the situation. Some experts argue that Russia's intervention could serve as a catalyst for renewed diplomatic efforts to resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. They suggest that Russia's pressure on Israel, combined with calls for peace from other nations, might push both sides to reconsider their positions and seek a negotiated settlement, Others, however, warn that Russia's warning could escalate the conflict by emboldening Palestinian militants and provoking a stronger military response from Israel. Within Israel, public opinion is divided over the government's handling of the Rafah situation and the broader conflict with Gaza. While some Israelis support the military actions as necessary for national security, others are critical of the government's approach, calling for a more measured and diplomatic strategy. The domestic debate is further complicated by the ongoing political turmoil in Israel, with frequent elections and shifting political alliances making it difficult to achieve a consensus on how to address the conflict. In the Palestinian territories, the response to Russia's warning has been overwhelmingly positive. Many Palestinians view Russia as a powerful ally that can counterbalance Israeli military strength and advocate for their rights on the international stage. Palestinian leaders have welcomed Russia's condemnation of the Israeli airstrikes and have called for increased international support to hold Israel accountable for its actions. However, there are also concerns that increased external involvement could lead to greater instability and further violence. As the situation continues to evolve, the potential for a broader conflict involving multiple international actors looms large. The complex web of alliances and rivalries in the Middle East makes the outcome of the current crisis highly unpredictable. Any misstep or escalation could trigger a chain reaction, drawing in countries like Iran, Syria, and the United States, and potentially leading to a larger regional conflict. The international community faces a critical challenge in navigating this delicate situation and finding a path to peace. As the ramifications of Russia's warning to Israel unfold, the international diplomatic landscape becomes increasingly strained. This latest development underscores the precarious nature of Middle Eastern geopolitics and the broader implications for global stability. The intricate dance of alliances and hostilities in the region could potentially ignite broader conflicts if not carefully managed by all parties involved. In Washington, policymakers are grappling with how to respond to Russia's bold move. The United States has long been a staunch ally of Israel, providing substantial military and financial support. However, the Biden administration is also aware of the delicate balance required to avoid a wider conflict that could draw in other global powers. There are calls within the U.S. government for a more nuanced approach that combines support for Israel's security with increased pressure for a ceasefire and renewed peace negotiations. This balancing act is crucial as the U.S. seeks to maintain its influence in the region while avoiding direct confrontation with Russia. Meanwhile, in Europe, leaders are expressing deep concern over the escalating violence and the potential for a broader conflict. The European Union has issued statements urging both Israel and the Palestinian factions to exercise restraint and prioritize humanitarian considerations. European diplomats are actively working behind the scenes to broker talks and mediate between the conflicting parties. The EU's emphasis on diplomacy and humanitarian aid highlights its role as a stabilizing force in international affairs, although its influence in the Middle East is often overshadowed by the more direct interventions of the US and Russia. The response from regional powers such as Iran and Turkey has been predictably fierce. Iran, a longtime adversary of Israel, has seized upon Russia's warning as an opportunity to strengthen its anti-Israel rhetoric and bolster support for Palestinian militant groups. This could lead to increased Iranian involvement in the conflict, either directly or through proxy forces, further complicating the situation. Turkey, under President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, has also condemned the Israeli actions and called for international solidarity with the Palestinians, positioning itself as a key player in any potential diplomatic resolution. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what's your reaction to Russia's warning to Israel? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.